Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here for another herb profile video which will go in that very long playlist that I've been working on since 2016, and I'll put the full playlist in the description box down below. But today it's about licorice roots, its benefits, uses, and precautions. So yes, I'll cover those precautions before some of you start freaking out about licorice root. So the part that's used is the root. As far as I've been able to find, no other part of the plant can or should be used, but I could be wrong. This has happened before with calendula when I used to think calendula leaves were toxic. I was wrong. It just depends on what site you go to. So if anybody has any insight on that, please share that down below. But this is just about the root anyway. So the nutrients you're going to find, and this one really made me happy, was the great amount of B vitamins that it has. That is B1, B2, B3, and B5. But it also has vitamin E, phosphorus, calcium, magnesium, potassium, selenium, choline, zinc, iron, and also beta carotene and quercetin, just to name a few. So the first thing to know about licorice root is that it is adaptogenic, much like astragalus root, ashwagandha root, and maca root. I think you're gonna find that quite frequently in your various roots that are health benefiting. And so what that means is that anything as adaptogenic helps your body to adapt to any stresses you might be under. That could be a physical stress, it could be something from inside the body, external, it could be emotional stress, mental stress, whatever it is. It just helps your body to adapt to that and function better as a result. It's been known to treat canker sores, and it does protect the liver. It's great for digestive health. It is a natural anti-inflammatory, which means then it could also help with various types of aches and pains throughout the body. It's helpful for rheumatoid arthritis and also female reproductive issues such as PMS or menopause. So I think that has to do with its adaptogenic properties because it's just helping your body to deal with the stress it's under during that time. It's generally anti-cancer. It's helpful for chronic fatigue syndrome, which would make me think it should also be helpful for those with fibromyalgia. It helps to boost the immune system. It relieves the symptoms of tuberculosis. It is also antiviral, antifungal, and antibacterial. It is very helpful in dealing with colds and flus, whether it is in preventing them or just helping you heal faster from them and deal with some of the issues such as sore throats, coughs, and more, which is why some people will include it in a cough and cold remedy. So it's also full of antioxidants, which of course is what helps it to be anti-cancer and also can be anti-aging as a result. It's good at helping with arterial sclerosis, respiratory health. It is very detoxifying, and it's good for female fertility, for boosting female fertility. So if you're having problems getting pregnant, this would be one to look into. It helps to fight obesity and treats various skin ailments such as psoriasis, eczema, and athlete's foot, which of course that would be because of its antifungal properties. It also helps to treat hepatitis, gastric and peptic ulcers, which in turn, those things can cause hypertension, which means this can be helpful for those with high blood pressure if it is related, which all high blood pressure is related to some disorder within the body, because your blood pressure going up is the body's reaction in dealing with that stress it's putting on the body. It promotes healthy scalp and hair, reduces depression, is good for dental health. It's helpful for neurological disorders such as Bell's palsy and Lyme disease. It is great for cardiovascular health and cognitive function, so good for your brain too. It's helpful at reducing anxiety and promoting good sleep, which is why it's one that I have included in my deep sleep and muscle relaxer extract in the past. And it is good for adrenal fatigue. Before I continue on, I should say, Any herb, when used medicinally, should be used with caution, no matter how safe it is, because everybody's going to have different reactions or different health issues or different medications they're on that could cause them to have bad reactions or allergies to whatever herb it is. But licorice root is one of those that tends to be a little bit higher up on the scale when it comes to possibly causing issues. But what I've read is most of those involve if you're already on medications for a particular ailment or you're dealing with some specific health issue. So I'm going to read these off. So you need to use caution if you have hypertension. So this is one that people bring up a lot whenever I've talked about licorice root, is that it can cause your blood pressure to go up and also cause cardiac disorders. But especially when looked into this more in depth, you'll find that that's usually related to the medications people may be on for those particular things. But either way, just research it for yourself and learn more about it before you consider taking it, especially in a medicinal form. Also take caution if you already have breast cancer, ovarian cancer, or uterine fibroids. If you are pregnant or breastfeeding, if you're on diabetic medications, you may need to avoid this. And it can also interact with any medications you may be on to decrease potassium levels, which can then put you in dangerously low levels of potassium. And you also shouldn't take this if you're on corticosteroids. So mostly what I have found, just like with most of these things, and I've already said, is that when it comes to using a lot of these herbs, especially the licorice root, where most of the concern lies is if you're already on certain medications. Just like with most of the herbs, I suggest maybe start leaning towards getting off the medications and looking at more natural things that can help with whatever you're taking the medications for, because medications, for one, are never tested against other medications. So usually if someone's on a medication for this, then they're on a medication for that, then they're put on a medication for that. And there's never any studies done on how these different medications, these different pharmaceuticals would interact with each other. So it's funny to me that they'll always want to scare you away from the natural thing. So don't take this if you're on that, but they almost never tell you don't take this pharmaceutical if you're already on that pharmaceutical. Doctors will just keep piling pharmaceuticals upon pharmaceuticals. And the reason they keep putting more pharmaceuticals on you is because this first one you're on caused this reaction, so now you're on this medication to counteract that reaction, and so on and so on and so forth. And that's why you end up with a whole fishing tackle box full of medications. And yes, my mom had a fishing tackle box full of pharmaceuticals. And I truly believe it was that and some malpractice by the doctors who did a couple of surgeries on her that led to her untimely death at the age of 73. So now let's talk about uses. Now, the most common uses when it comes to licorice root is to make a decoction out of it or just a very strong tea out of the root itself. You can see here this is root that I bought. And so I have it in nice little small pieces. I am trying to grow it. I'm on my third year. But the time I'm shooting this video, I don't see any life on it yet, but it does seem to take a while for it to start getting life on it. But hopefully I'll be able to start harvesting and using the roots within the next couple of years if it made it through our last winter. And then also to tincture it. Now, this particular tincture is my deep sleep and muscle relaxer tincture that I've made. And I have a couple of different recipes on this. Now, the first recipe I have out, I did use the licorice root in, but because so many people freaked out about the licorice root, I did come out with another recipe, just leaving the licorice root out. Just remember, whenever I or anyone else shares a recipe that uses several different herbs, and people will come and say, well, can I leave that out? I can't have that. Yes, you can leave it out. You can make it with just one thing. You can do it with just one of the herbs used. In fact, that's usually the best way to start. I tend to like to combine herbs together, whereas a lot of people will make a whole bunch of individual tinctures and extracts. So they'll have a licorice root tincture, a thyme tincture, an oregano tincture, and so on, where I'm one that just combines everything together that has those particular properties. We just don't really have allergies to these things, and none of us are on any kind of pharmaceuticals that we have to worry about drug interaction with. But just know that ahead of time. So so when I share my recipes, it's just to share with you what I do and what I use, but you can always tailor any of them to suit you. But then again, like I said, tea, if you like the flavor of black licorice, then you would probably enjoy having the licorice root in the form of a tea. I'm one that tends to like to combine these things in teas with other spices, just like when I'm making my tinctures. So licorice root would be just like how I'd use the star anise, similar flavor, and I would combine it with things like cinnamon, ginger, and more, and just really help bring out that flavor. But you can make a tea out of it by itself. But because it is a root, any root or bark that you're making a tea out of, it is best to actually simmer that for a while. That can be 15, 20 minutes to really draw out the properties of that. Yes, heat will kill some of the nutrients, but usually when you're looking at the medicinal properties of something like this, those are the things that the heat's going to draw out rather than destroy. So just keep that in mind. Now, I do believe some people have just chewed on licorice root. I think by chewing on the licorice root itself, that can be very good for helping to clean the teeth. And like I mentioned earlier in the list, it is just good for general dental health anyway. You can powder up your licorice root or buy it in powder form and add it to your tooth powders, or you can even encapsulate it if you think that's best. You can also buy capsules. I try to avoid capsules as much as possible because, first of all, they're time consuming to make and you still have to buy the gel caps. Or if you're buying the pre-made capsules, it can be difficult trying to find something that you can afford that you know is quality, it is organic, it's non-GMO, it doesn't have any other added ingredients in it. If you prefer capsules, I do recommend making your own, even though it's troublesome, but there's other easier ways you can take powders. If you don't like the flavor, is simply mix it in with some kind of liquid, be it a juice, a tea, or something, and just suck it down really fast. I'm the kind of person, like I might do this with moringa or something else and put it in a little shot glass and then just drink it down like a medicine. Might not taste great, but you got it over with fast. So that's for those who don't like the flavor of black licorice, since that's what this is. It is licorice, and that's what gives it that flavor. So anyway, if anyone else has used licorice to help with any ailments, what is your favorite way to take it? Do you make a tincture or an extract? Do you take it in the form of a tea or a capsule? And how has it helped you? Please put your comments down below so people can learn from you as well. And don't forget to check out that full playlist I'll be putting in the description box below. No matter what device you're on, there should be either the word more or show more. Click on that. It'll open the description box to find all the links and information we have in there, including our email address. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.